Now that we have seen what the Long War format campaigns look like, and if you haven't, check out our Long War watch list in the description. This time, I'd like to shake things up and show you another very popular competitive format of Total War Warhammer 3, and that is the 1v1 campaigns. At first glance, this format is not that different from that of FFA style, and this format is ideal if you don't have, say, 4 or 5 hours a week to dedicate to a Long War style game. This format is entirely different than the FFA style, since there's no room for diplomacy or many measures against getting rushed. This format relies heavily on your tactical and meta knowledge, specifically the knowledge at what point in the game does your faction has the advantage over your opponent. So you need to know your faction and opponent's faction. In a free-for-all format, if you see a player rushing another player, you can always respond with rushing the attacker for quick and easy gains. Use diplomacy and implied threats to keep the enemies at bay. In 1v1, however, none of this applies, since the only threat to your victory is the other player, so if you see them, you got to fight. As soon as the opponent is broken on the battlefield, and if you are outscaling them in terms of growth, most players tend to give up and concede even sooner than what you see in free-for-alls. Now, with that information out of the way, let's find out how players will pick their factions. And in this tournament, we want to promote versatility and overall knowledge of the game. As such, we gave players an average of 2 months per round in a single elimination format. Our players used a specifically designed and compressed tier list made by multiple consulting players specifically for this format, and then it was compressed in order to accommodate the pick and ban system that we have in place. As such, I do not recommend that you use this tier list in order to pick for your 1v1 games or any other games. It has a specific use, and that's specifically for this tournament. We also wanted to make it clear that we expect our players to know the power levels of these factions. As such, even within these tiers, they differ heavily. Match that we have was a surprisingly short one with ending at turn 20. Now, this tournament is also single elimination format since we are still testing things out. And for this round, we've got Kat, who's going to be piloting Count Noctilus from Vampire Coast, and M7, who's going to be piloting Teclis from High Elves. As you can see on this map, we open up with a very standard openers and a few manuals. Now, as usual, the opponent is able to control the AI in these manuals. This keeps things very interesting and requires players to properly judge their opponents with that player control in mind. Now, I want to do something interesting. In this coming battle, I'd like to talk about inferring information about your opponent from the manual battles that they take. A lot of players I've seen have not really practiced that skill and tend to completely ignore manuals or literally go AFK. But what we're going to do, we're going to see how we can use information warfare to your advantage. So let's view this coming battle with that in mind. So one thing you can infer from all of this, what you're seeing here right now, is their army composition. So you've got one artillery and the rest of them being the starting units, plus the units that he has recruited are archers, which can mean two things. One, High Elves are going for the long run because archers are also their auto-resolve heavy units. They are very price efficient for auto-resolve. Two, because their opponent is Vampire Coast, this is the composition they're very likely to bring to the big battle that they will have with the Vampire Coast. So Vampire Coast needs to invest in more fast-moving infantry in order to occupy these units. Because the opponent is not able to take the AI in quest battles, what this means is that this is effectively a free win. It's replenishment, it's more post-battle, and it's extra 5,000 from the quest, not to mention the quest battle that they would be receiving. Now, one thing that M7 here is doing, he is taking advantage of the fact that it is AI and he is dodging archer fire. A player would not target the Lord in order to not waste their ammunition. So now he is bringing those, witch elves, focusing on those, and already did about 75% of their health as damage. We also see he has got access to Lore of Fire, Lore of Metal, as well as the spells that Teclis comes with. So one thing is for certain, he has a wide variety of spells available to him. That means blobbing is going to be very dangerous. Just as expected, he is taking minimal losses here. He is kiting the range archers. Yep, you see that dodge over there. And he's focusing on routing those melee infantry and kiting. He's still taking some damage, but it is negligible compared to what a player could do. So, if you're playing with tokens, or even without tokens, you should take your quest battles manually where appropriate. There are some where auto-resolving is better, but this is not one of them, clearly, because it's a choke point battle where you can really neutralize the enemy's numbers advantage. So now, knowing that the AI likes to suicide them in, let's take a look at Malekith getting shish kebabbed. Already lost 25% of his health from one volley. That's 50%, and he lands. Teclis is running away, knowing that he does not have good melee stats. And there goes the execution. 25%, and Malekith is almost dead. Bam! Malekith goes down. Once again, he is taking advantage of the AI's maneuvers because this is a well-practiced battle. And focuses on the targets that have the greatest threat. So in this case, he saw these infantry charging in, pulling away from the lines into the archer lines. Nope, not gonna happen. So he bombards those first. So you know that your opponent has a good... If you're watching your opponent in this case, you know that he knows how to pick proper targets. So you will not be able to bait him with feint attacks, and you will have to go all in into the attack, and boom, army losses on the AI. And now he is just farming some post-battle. Oh, there we go, ending the battle. Well, I hope you have learned something, how to view your opponent and how to collect information from their composition, their tactics, and their strategies, the spells that they're casting. Alright, now let's get back to the video. The elves have revealed an important information, most of which, in this case, confirms the suspicion we had from the draft. The elves will play an archer-heavy, early rush build. If the Vampire Coast fails to bring units to occupy those archers and break their lines, this will be a very quick loss for the Vampire Coast. Because while Vampire Coast still has powerful ranged units, they do not have the ability to shoot over their own units. As such, because of the positioning and the factions that we're talking about, whoever wins the first battle will have a huge logistical advantage from landing unopposed on the opponent's shores, and would only put the defeated side even further behind in economy if they can seize that advantage. So let's see if Vampire Coast has managed to use this information to their advantage, or will High Elves push their ranged advantage for victory.